Welcome to Vision, the show about the College of Arts and Sciences. And today we're taking a little different approach to the show, and I am thrilled to be here with one of our alumni, Lori Williams. And Lori graduated in 1979 communication.
Yes.
And now plays a very active role, and that's what I am thrilled to have you talk with us about today, the role of an alumni.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes. So tell us first a little bit about your background and what brought you to Mississippi State.
I came to Mississippi State sort of as a lark. Most of my family went to that university up north, and I wanted to do something different. And so one of my best friends had a big sister here, and I visited a few times, and I just loved the campus. I just thought it was a great place, and so I came. And really, Mississippi State has given me the gifts and all the things that have made me successful, so I love being able to return that back and hopefully give that gift to somebody else. But that's how I got here and why I continue to work with Mississippi State in any way I can.
When you were a student, did you have any encounters with alumni?
You know, I did, and in fact, it was so important to me when I was elected president. I met so many alumni with that process. And of course, I left here, I went to law school, and I wanted to be a litigator. And back in the early 80s, there weren't a lot of women litigators. So when I came out of law school, trying to find a job as a litigator was challenging. And one of the alumni I had met along the way was Bob Montgomery, who has 5 daughters. And I called him. I said, I don't know what else I can do. I mean, they want me to be in their family law divisions. They want to put me in their corporate division, but that's not what I want to do. He said, come work for me. And my first month practicing law, I had a trial like in 6 months, which was unheard of. None of my friends had a trial in the 10 years they practiced law. So I was so lucky to have made that acquaintance during that time at Mississippi State. And then, you know, the sky was the limit after that, you know, that I got to pursue my dream, and I did it for 32 years. So,
well, and that's, yeah. I don't think people realize the role of alumni for a university. And you currently serve as the chair of the Dean's Advisory Board for the College of Arts and Sciences. What motivates you to want to have that active role as an alum of Mississippi State?
You know, I tell students now who are coming to college for the first time that the most valuable lesson I learned was getting to know your professors, number one. You should be in their office. They should know your name. They are there to help you succeed. But more importantly is learning about the alumni that are maybe in your chosen profession, because they can help you so much along the way, and who they don't know, they can find someone who does know, maybe another alumni that could help you. And if we, you know, use those tools that we get and make use of these relationships we build with alumni, I think it helps young people to get connected more with their school, but also more successful in their careers because they've had that jump start through alumni.
At what point in your career did you become an active alum and giving back to Mississippi State?
Gosh, it was probably after I graduated from law school in '85. I did asbestos defense work, so I was traveling all over the United States, so I really wasn't able to do much then. When I was finally back home and being able to come up to Mississippi State for football games or to see basketball, it reminded me of how much I loved it and how much I missed it. And of course, seeing old friends is wonderful, and then you realize their children are coming here. And so that made me really want to invest time and money here because they are our future.
Well, and one thing too, I love talking to you about, and I love hearing you talk about it, is the historical moment that you made at Mississippi State, and you are the very first female student body president.
100 years, but we have kicked that glass ceiling in. I think there have been 5 since me. So I'm happy to know that it's been a continued thing that women are running for office and being successful here at Mississippi State.
And what was that like?
It was surreal, to be honest. I really didn't think I would win. It had mostly been men. And so I had made it a point to visit all groups. You know, and because I felt like there was a division at Mississippi State, they just weren't heard. They weren't involved in student government, and I wanted to know why. And I think that's really what did it. I think that there were a lot of students who felt disenfranchised, and they loved hearing that this was going to be a different day. We were going to do things differently. And so I did win, and their history was made, but it's probably one of my proudest achievements.
And you tell me too that when a woman does win, you give them a call, is that right?
I do, because it's a special thing. And I remember the first one after me, the year I was elected was our centennial, and we got a gold pin. And I've passed that gold pin on to her, and she is passing it on to the other women that have been elected. So we think that's kind of a nice tradition to have.
Wonderful. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Lori more about the role that alumni can play at Mississippi State. We'll be right back.
A baby's arrival can be one of the most exciting times in a family's life. It can also be one of the most anxious, especially if the child's development is hindered by medical challenges that create more questions than answers. At Mississippi State University, we're groundbreakers in the study of Charge syndrome, a genetic condition that leads to a host of life-threatening birth defects. Our research teams are uncovering breakthroughs in treatment and prevention with a goal of greater understanding that leads to better care. We're also providing crucial support resources for parents and helping physicians around the globe gain awareness so symptoms can be detected and addressed earlier. By engaging in this innovative analysis and therapy, we're not only improving outcomes, we're unlocking brighter futures. Everyone remembers their favorite teddy bear, the reassuring love of their first puppy. They comforted us and made us laugh. For children battling abusive situations or post-traumatic stress disorder, the memories aren't as pleasant. That's why, at Mississippi State University, we're pioneering a robotic technology that brings healing to those exposed to traumatic situations. Known as Therabot, MSU's robotic beagle includes lifelike features that allow it to move in ways that are both natural and nurturing. Its ultimate goal? To bridge the gap between two types of effective therapy, using real animals and their plush counterparts for emotional assistance. At MSU, we're proud to be changing the game in therapeutic recovery. Even prouder to be putting lives back together again.
Welcome back to Vision, and I'm sitting with Lori Williams. Lori, you live in the Jackson area.
I do.
You are a practicing attorney.
Yes.
And what I love about the work that you do for Mississippi State is what you give back as an alum. What are ways that you encourage other alums to give back to the university?
I think there's a false perception that when you're asking someone to do something for Mississippi State, we're talking big dollars. And, you know, as a freshman here, I was on a limited budget, I worked 2 jobs, and there was a lady in my hometown that gave me a book scholarship every semester, so it would help me buy my books. And I tell my friends, it's $25 a month that you might spend on a Starbucks coffee that at the end of the year adds up to books for a student who really needs it, and maybe that's one less job they have to do. So I think there are ways that people can give back, whether it's their time mentoring students, doesn't have to be financial, but there's so many experiences that we have as alumni that would really be encouragement to other students, and I think giving time is just as important as money. But obviously we know it takes money to keep a university going and our majors healthy. So yeah, I think there are many ways we can do it.
What would you say is a story a student told you about how alumni were able to help them? What is a story that has stuck with you?
You know, there was a young lady, and I'm trying to think what her major was, and I met her because I was here and I was, I think, at the student union having early breakfast, and she was there bussing tables, and we started having a conversation, and she was sort of like me. She came from a family of about 4 or 5, and this was a job she was doing, work study, to, you know, be able to go to the university. And I just was so impressed with her enthusiasm. But also I asked, well, what's the biggest struggle for you? And she said, well, you know, gas, because, you know, we have to live off campus now. There's not enough dorm space for upperclassmen. And she said, you know, I didn't plan that in my budget. And I got home and I made a couple of calls, and I found somebody from her hometown, and they gave her a credit card for gas. And I thought, that is, you know, it's just the little things. And I think it meant the world to her. And this alumni meant the world to her to be able to help this student with something that was so easy to fulfill. So.
And we were at a dinner last night where we were talking with several students. One went to Washington, another went to Oxford, England. Just tell me your impressions hearing their stories about their experiences.
I think traveling abroad is one of the best life learning experiences, and I encourage any student, if they get the chance to study abroad, they should do it. And of course that means more dollars from alumni to help them do it, because it is expensive, but it's an experience they will never forget. And I think you grow as a person when you are in another country and how other people live and what their values are. You just learn so much, and a lot of times it makes you appreciate what you have at home so much more. And so I think traveling abroad is very influential, and I think that's what these students told us last night, is that it's made such a difference in how they viewed the world. And I think we should make that opportunity available to as many students as we can.
And I think I have to admit, I was one of those that graduated and thought, well, if you're an alum that gives back, you're older. And that's not necessarily the case. At what point should a student that graduates be thinking about their role as an alum?
I think any student that has an imagination, if I knew then what I know now, even $10 to a student, even if you're just coming up here and you're talking to students and here's $25. That $25 will be stretched for a week for some of these kids, and they appreciate so much that alumni are really interested in them. So it's small things, and I think sometimes we forget that it's the little things that can really make a big difference. But yeah, I think the earlier you start, the more rewarding it is, because you get to see those people blossom and what happens with them later in life.
And on a personal level, what would you say is most fulfilling to you, serving the university in the roles that you're serving?
I think it's being able to help fund those programs that are so needed. You forget that academia isn't stagnant. There are careers now that didn't exist when I came to college. And so it takes money for people to be able to pursue that dream in areas that we didn't even think of 10 years ago. So I love being able to give so that these future students can have those dreams and those new careers that are just now coming into being.
Well, Lori, thank you so much for everything that you give to Mississippi State, to the College of Arts and Sciences, and you're truly a role model to future alumni and current alumni as well. So thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching Vision, and we will see you next month.